I am back and I am answering your questions, so let's get started. Today's first question comes from John M, and that question is, what exactly does Neville Goddard mean with brazen impudence? Is it a form of arrogance or egotism? Well, we don't have the luxury of having a face-to-face with Neville Goddard, unfortunately, but by the context and the intensity and passion, so far from what I've learned about Neville and how he sees things, brazen etymology is basically about being of brass, solid. And impudence is about not being ashamed. So how can you learn to be in your state, to already be experiencing that wish fulfilled, the relationship, the amount of money, the new job? How can you be solid and without shame in that idea? How can you begin to move and not look around to see what others think of you, but basically have a conviction at a cellular level that your body, which is your unconscious, feels like that what you're experiencing inside your world is more real than the outside. That's also a page from Dr. Joe Dispenza. When you are starting to be defined by a vision of the future and not your current circumstances. Back to Neville Goddard, your current circumstances are your level of consciousness. So as you have a conviction, a solid, non-ashamed diving into that state of being, that's when you will really start to see a shift. I'm not sure if there's a specific aspect in which you're asking that, but if you can take away that it's not okay, let me dip my toe in. I don't know, I'm trying to do these things. Is anything changing outside of me? If you have that very shifting idea that you're not sure, you will never get that full force being in that desired state. So you have to have a level of being, of conviction, of this effort that your inner world, it's just a matter of time. It is being attracted to you. It is going to be revealed. A series of different situations is going to happen, and it's going to be beyond what you can expect. You don't need to figure out the how, you need to figure out the who. Who are you being? So again, solid, unashamed, not relating to other people, not checking in with your outside world to see if what I'm doing is changing. When you change yourself at such a degree that you are convinced, you are convicted of it, your outside world has nothing else, no other choice, but to begin to show that shift in your inner world. So I hope that helps. Now the second question comes from Ira, and that question is, please confirm that it doesn't matter what tense we use for affirming, bearing in mind time doesn't really exist. I followed up with Ira just to make sure I understood the question. And the second part of this question is, I prefer to think I will be back with my SP rather than I am back with my SP. But sometimes I hear coaches say that it needs to be present tense. When it comes to affirmations, what is that experience going to bring you? If you're stuck on this person is or isn't with me, where are you with yourself? That outside thing is not the thing you want. You want an emotion, an essence of an outcome. There is an emotional outcome that you're looking for. If you can start to tap into that and affirm for that, it gets way less confusing. That unconditional love, that emotional support, being seen, connecting with this person, it brings you a sense of satisfaction. It makes you feel unconditionally loved. It makes you feel happy. As you start to affirm, I am happy, I am whole and complete, I am love. It makes it very clear that as you are that now, that will be expressed in your outside world. I feel that the confusion comes in when we leave ourselves, when we start to affirm that this relationship, what is the attachment to the relationship and the specific person? The more you get clear on that, the more you clear your mind of any kind of past situations. Are you used to somebody being emotionally unavailable or having to chase or work for it? Doesn't mean that the situation with this person isn't possible, but if you continue to leave yourself, if you continue to forget why you're even doing it, then you will continue to get that echoed in your outside life. Not because you're bad, not because you don't deserve it, because it's trying to show you yourself. It's trying to get you clear. Stay with yourself and your outside world will stay with you as well. You're not causing people to treat you a certain way, but you are at a level of belief, and that's where you'll meet them too. So when it comes to this affirmation, present time, yes, absolutely present. I am loved. I am whole and complete. What I want wants me too. That relationship can come towards your life to be an expression of love, to be an expression of what you wants you back. But the more it becomes about the person, the more it's more of a Newtonian way, which Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. When the outside changes, it's going to change me inside. You have to change you by understanding what you're really needing and what you're wanting in your life. The more you get clear on that, the more the outside can come in and reveal that to you. So I hope that helps. The last question comes from Rachel Peters, and that question is, why is the more I work on myself and seeing positive changes within me, the more my manifestation is messing up? I was my old self. I see movement, we were fine, but now I am seeing positive changes within me. This is the first time that my SP pulled away or distanced himself. I'm confused because I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't spiral on him. I was patient and not reactive, keeping on managing my anxieties and negative thinking all by myself. And the second I realized I am changing positively within, I see the opposite of what I want. I wanted to follow up just so I knew a little bit more. When I asked, was there something specific that happened? The follow-up was, I don't know, it just happened. The only thing I can think of was last February, I bravely opened up my heart to him, told him how I really felt. I became vulnerable, I think. I just wanted to be true to my feelings and be honest. After that, he was kind of like a stranger to me. He does not make the effort to see me or call me anymore. And when I was in a lax state, anxiety, not feeling good enough, we were fine. When I noticed how I changed within, especially when it comes to my anxieties and fear, I also noticed him becoming more distant to me. So the first part is nothing is messing up. You will have an idea of how this experience that you're wanting should show up in your life. The more you are attached to that, the more you're resisting what actually can come in and give you that in feeling. You're wanting a secure, loving, safe relationship. You're starting to make those internal changes and shift the dynamic in your showing up and being emotionally available to yourself. Now, this is where it gets tricky. The people in your life right now may or may not be emotionally available. You affirming and working harder on yourself so they'll change is one temptation to start abandoning yourself again. As you stay with yourself, as you become emotionally available, as you open up, that you don't know how the universe is going to deliver what you're asking for. If you say, no, I don't want anything else, I just want this one thing, and who knows, maybe it is the one thing. I'm not here to limit you. I'm not here to put any damper on any possibilities, but what I'm saying is open up all possibilities. Because if you see that it's messing up, you've got to start learning how to advocate. You've got to start learning to use your voice. If somebody is not showing up emotionally for you, if you're revealing and being vulnerable for them and they move away, do you have an old dynamic where when you showed your heart, when you wanted to connect, that person moved away? Now, another dynamic you'll need to understand is if you're more of an anxiety attached type, which I am, so I feel you, an amazing job to start to learn how to be with yourself through those anxieties, because that is so massive. The fear that someone will leave when you're you learning to say, it doesn't matter what happens, I refuse to leave myself, that is so commendable. You have so much courage, and I am so proud of you for that, because it is so hard, and I feel you. So I'm sending you love and congratulations on that part. The second thing I need you to understand is most likely you had somebody move too far away from you when you were younger. That made you scared, that made you feel not safe. So you had to attune, you had to be more preoccupied with the other person. Now that type is going to bring a dynamic in a romantic relationship with someone who got the opposite. Maybe the person had a helicopter parent. They were overprotective, always concerned about their safety. Maybe worse, it was somebody who was physically, verbally abusive. Some type of way the energy was consuming in it, and it crossed a boundary, so they didn't feel safe. So anytime they feel that consumption, they want to move away. So these two people want to connect, they feel unsafe, they go in the opposite way. You want to move towards, the other person most likely wants to distance. Now, starting to understand that as you're yourself, people are going to have their own wounds. How can you be kind to yourself? How can you do your duty in those moments? So coming back to your question, you talked about this person being a stranger to you. Did you go along and share yourself and then they kind of just were emotionally stagnant or blank? And then you resumed and continued on with how y'all were before? You've got to start looking, are you saying yes to different situations? Maybe you go hang out and you can't talk about serious things, or you can't talk about what you need to, or you can't get a resolution. And it's okay if that person's overwhelmed and they need space and time. Okay, one thing for you, hey, I understand you want some time, you're processing this. Are you open to coming back in a week and talking about it? It's really important that we talk it out so I understand better where we both are. But if you feel like you just have to be quiet, and if you say anything else, it's going to overwhelm them, or if you reveal your feelings, then it's going to make them pull away or move away again, they're going to leave again. You've got to realize that yes to them to continue the relationship is a no to you. And again, the thing you have to understand too is the yeses to you is going to shift dynamics. It does not mean that that person has to leave and somebody new will come in, but it does mean that the dynamic of how you've been in relationships will have to change. Because if you keep saying yes and silencing what you need and not understanding you, and you continue to relate to yourself and getting your needs met through that person who continues to be emotionally unavailable or be overwhelmed, and there's no disrespect or judgment to that person. Everyone has their own stuff. How they respond to it is there's reasons why. But we're looking at you right now and we're advocating for your needs. So if you need consistency and reliability, how can you learn yourself? Oh, consistency and reliability for an anxiously attached person is like, but how can you learn to understand what that looks like in real life? Okay, would you just say, I want consistency and reliability? No, you'd say, okay, maybe once a week we can hang out. Or, like I said earlier, if you have something you want to talk, maybe you give that person an amount of time and then you come back on an agreed upon day and time, however much that is for y'all. The more you include yourself, the more you're staying with yourself, and the more that will be reflected in your outside world. If you're putting yourself out there and the person kind of ghosts you or just goes flat, if you're starting to be you and there's distance, there is the fear that if you keep doing it, that person will leave. You don't know what's going on over there unless somebody specifically told you something. Learning to stay with yourself, watching the assumptions about the meanings. He's moving away from me because I'm being a better version and I never get what I want and now everything's messing up. I didn't do anything wrong. You're right, you didn't do anything wrong. No one's wrong in this. But you've got to look at the meanings you're placing on it. Refuse to put the meaning as a negative meaning about you, something you did, that he's moving away from you. You don't know what's happening. If you assume it's about you, that is self-rejection. So how can you get clear on you right now? Start to list your needs. Start to list what those needs look like in real life. Start to become aware in the moment where you're putting that negative placement. And if you need, potentially have a conversation. And it doesn't have to be, okay, right now we're talking about all the serious things, right? Watch your energy, say what you need to say. And I don't know the dynamics, I don't know the relationship status, so this makes it a little bit more tricky. But it could be like, the story I'm telling myself is when I'm emotionally vulnerable, you're not interested in me. That's a way to be seen and also connect with this person. However, if this person continues to show that when you're emotional, they're not available, you've got to learn to stay with yourself and be kind to yourself and keep yourself safe. That doesn't mean you have to stay away from them, but you have to really look and see, is this person emotionally available when I'm emotional? The more and more you start to understand what is available, how you can advocate, how you can ask, how you can stand up for yourself and stay with yourself, the easier and easier it is going to be to navigate the different situations. The common theme about all of these is really learning how to stay in your new state, in that self-concept. This video right here is going to help explain and get you deeper in how you can do it and break the pattern of in and out of that state. Thank you so much for trusting me with your questions. Thank you for watching. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.